Ba.
That's actually a really great place to open the show tonight, Will, because I got to thinking the other night. I had a lot of time over this past week sort of trying to escape this ridiculous storm that's been in my home area. And I was listening to the podcast, and that same song comes on. Psycho Killer comes on before the show every week, and I'm not sure that we've actually ever explained why that is, because there is a reason for that, right, Mac?
Yeah.
Do you want to explain that, or is that really all you have?
Maybe you want to explain it.
I mean, I know it's a song from Always Sunny, but is that the only reason that we use it?
Yeah, do you mean the reason that we got hot on it is because I think Will and I together were both watching an Always Sunny episode, and it's when Charlie and Mac walk into the bar and they start bumping that song, and everyone just gets super into it. And it was like right when we started talking about making this show, and we were like, both were like, "That's it, that's our intro," because it's a hype song.
Well, I guess that makes a lot of sense, but I mean, I think it has to be said on the front end tonight. There is a lot to get into, and I think we're all going to feel on the back end of this like we didn't get to everything that we had to talk about. So it's going to be a fast-paced, energetic show for sure. And I know there's a lot to get to on the NFL, and so I mean, with all that said, I mean, Will Mosley, your biggest takeaway yesterday from the NFL, or something that you found interesting from the NFL?
Kickers suck.
Yeah.
Kickers suck. Dude, at literally when I mean, I would have rather I'm gonna regret saying this when we're, squeaking into the playoffs, but I would have rather lost yesterday than watch that Vikings kicker miss a field goal just so I had to watch more freaking missed field goals back to back that could have ended the game. It was so painful. It was so annoying. That being said, I wish the Packers would have won overall. I think Clay Matthews didn't deserve that penalty on that interception that should have sealed the game, but that's another story completely. We don't have time to get into that today. The main story is kickers suck. I know Mac feels it for another week in a row. He's robbed of getting a chance at, that W that his team so much has not been able to grab for so long. So, Matt, how do you feel about kickers today?
I mean, terrible. But it's just like kickers. I do feel bad for kickers because it's just like that's their one thing they have to do. But like that's the one thing when all eyes are on them. And then when they can't complete that one thing they have to do, like they just get shredded to pieces. So there is a little bit of sympathy there, but like that is their one thing they have to do. And it's not like they were long. It was 2 PATs and 2 missed field goals within like 35 yards. Like you're in the NFL, man. You got to make those. And even like I said at the beginning of the year, I had no expectations for win their first 2 games, but they were in both games. So I will take that away. They did look all right.
Okay, yeah, but I mean, in my game, I can at least feel a little bit better that like all 3 of the field goals were from reasonable length that I had to watch get missed. Watching the Browns kicker do the most Browns thing ever, and Hugh Jackson just stand there with that befuddled look on his stupid face. They've got to fire him just because he looks like that. Like, just look at his face during all of those moments. That is a man that is not in control of what happens. He just lets this poop destiny wash over him week after week.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And he did the same thing last year. They should have won they definitely were in a lot of close games and weren't able to pull any of them away. And it looks like that's how we're getting back to it again this year.
At what point do you guys think they look to go to Baker Mayfield?
Is that the answer?
With the way Hugh Jackson coaches, man, until he gets fired, they don't go to Baker Mayfield.
Okay, let's be very clear here, Will Mosley. They're not looking for an answer in Cleveland. I mean, nothing that they have right now that they could change is going to be the answer in the short term. I'm just asking you, they're now 0-2. How long do they let this losing streak? I understand. they've been closer to winning, right? The first 2 games, but they're still 0-2. How long do they let the losing streak go before?
Don't give me that tie.
Oh, that's fair. Okay.
The
Okay, they
winless
haven't
streak.
lost
The
both
winless
their
streak.
games, but you understand what I'm saying. Mac, you're the fan. At what point do you say, okay, enough is enough? I want to see the rookie. I want to see the first choice.
After week 4. Week 5, you start Baker. Because I think they can win one of the next 2 games. And if he can't win one of the next 2 games, then you start Baker Mayfield.
I mean, maybe you do start the younger guy. There's some young dudes that are balling out, aka a dude that's sitting on a lot of people's benches who are going to pull the Andrew Levin move of sitting a second quarterback and trading him in fantasy. And that dude's name's Pat Mahomes. And just maybe it's the right idea to start playing the young dude because that dude looks like the real freaking deal, man.
I watched pretty much every minute of that game yesterday, and I have a lot of observations from it. First, obviously, Patrick Mahomes was sort of shocking to me. That's really the first game that I'd ever watched him play. And, I mean, it goes without saying. I mean, the kid had 6 touchdowns. But where he was throwing the ball on the field, he was throwing it in between the seams of the defense all day. They didn't throw it to the outside, it seemed like, at all, dude. It was Mahomes throwing it to Travis Kelce down the seams of the field, and it was very impressive to watch. And so, I mean, dude, Mahomes was, I thought, maybe the biggest deal of the day yesterday, possibly.
I mean, at the same time, was he like the most impressive player on that field yesterday with Juju Smith-Schuster, like just showing out?
Yeah.
Like just being like, maybe I'm the better receiver here now.
Yeah.
I don't think he is. Just for people who might come at me. Don't, because I don't think that, but you might be hard to convince Juju Smith-Schuster he's the second option on that team after this week.
Is anyone saying that Juju Smith-Schuster is better than AB?
I don't think anyone is saying that. Every receiver in the NFL thinks that he's the best receiver on his team. I mean, I don't think that Juju Smith-Schuster is a better receiver than Antonio Brown. It has to be acknowledged that Antonio Brown is dealing with some sort of injury right now, and that's one of the reasons that he's again, I'm not an X's and O's guy. I just know yesterday that they were sort of talking about some of the routes that he runs. Typically, he's not able to run right now because he's not going 100%. But it also cannot be taken away that Juju Smith-Schuster had 19 targets yesterday. He had 13 receptions. And he had 1 touchdown. He probably should have had another. It was kind of a poorly thrown ball by Ben Roethlisberger late in the game on a chance taken to the end zone. But that was sort of my big takeaway, too, from that game yesterday. I think it's not a fantasy podcast, but it's worth noting that that Juju Smith-Schuster at this point is on the precipice of probably being a wide receiver 1 every week.
Yeah, dude, I don't know, man. That dude's a baller. And I mean, in light of what AB's throwing around on Twitter today about talk junk, trade me then, like, all right. If he is the best receiver in the league and he starts talking about it like that, and you have Juju Smith-Schuster balling out, trade high. Like, I get he's injured, but the second I saw that on Twitter, I thought, wow, today could not be a better day if you're a Steelers executive with all of that.
Yeah, I agree with you. But I will have to also say there was another quarterback out there that was balling out on the field and as well in his post-game press conference, and that was Fitzpatrick. I mean, did you guys see what he was sporting yesterday?
Dude, yeah, all of Deshaun Jackson's chains.
Deshaun Jackson's chains, letting the chest hair pop out the shirt. He almost had more hair on his chest than he had in his beard. And then after he threw he had one big throw, and he did the Eskimo kisses with his beard to his O lineman. It was something to behold.
Yeah, that's 100% guaranteed way to get lice, by the way.
Okay, I'm going to ask you guys the same thing I asked you at this point in the show last week. Can someone please explain to me what is happening with Ryan Fitzpatrick?
Magic.
Magic. The best thing that could possibly happen to the NFL right now.
Okay, but that's what I'm saying. Are we just at a point where the reason is just football?
Yeah.
Like, that's it? Like,
Yeah.
it's just football.
Yeah, just watch. Like, we're going to figure it out in like week 7 when they keep starting him and then he loses like 4 games straight before them putting Jameis back in. And those are the highs and lows of Ryan Fitzpatrick, and that's the beauty of it. But, dude, watching him throw dimes for a second week in a row and then come out and pull that, it's dope.
It's incredible, man. It's incredible, man. But I will say this. He is still an aging quarterback, man. And I think with all aging quarterbacks, there has to be an expectation that that dude is going to regress to the mean at some point. And I'm not saying he's going to go back to being the Ryan Fitzpatrick that throws 6 interceptions and has 0 touchdowns in a game. But, dude, the greatest quarterback of all time yesterday looked pretty fucking old, man. Like, I'm not one to really I'm not a Tom Brady hater, and I know that there's a lot of those mofos out there doing this whole podcast or radio thing. I'm not one of those. But dude, I gotta stop saying dude, fuck. He looked really old. I mean, he showed no ability to escape the pocket whatsoever. And I know that Jacksonville's defense is brilliant and one of the best in the league. But anytime that there was any pressure yesterday, he basically fell down.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's week 2, and at week 1 last year, we saw him destroyed by Kansas City. And I thought the same thing watching him just fall to the ground after that Kansas City defensive line just went after him and after him. And, then he bounced back and went to the Super Bowl, man. Like, I get it. He does look old, and that's okay. But what's scary is he's going to look old this week, and then in 3 weeks, he's going to torch one of our favorite defenses, and it's just going to be painful.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't have the greatest week, but he still threw like 24 for 35 and had 2 TDs. And I understand it is only September, and he did not look good yesterday, but he still put up decent numbers. But it's September. I could see him figuring it out by the end of the year.
I mean, but that's what we're talking about, right? Of course he could figure it out by the end of the year. He did the same thing with Kansas City last year. All I'm saying is that this is what the aging quarterback does. And so just as much as New England fans are saying today, it's going to be fine, it's going to be fine, I think that there has to be a little bit of wariness on the part of Tampa Bay fans about what's happening with Ryan Fitzpatrick right now. And so it's really going to be interesting to see. I think it's funny, clearly, and it's something that I've enjoyed watching. He's playing well right now, of course. I'm talking about Ryan Fitzpatrick, and one would expect Tom Brady to come back and be really solid, but it's interesting to me that the 2 teams in the Super Bowl last year lost yesterday. That's not something that happens a lot, especially in September. But a lot more interesting NFL stories to dig into here on another episode of From the Nosebleed Sports Podcast. Keep it right here. We'll be right back. Good segment.
Nailed it.
That was good. Was there a different reason that we picked that song other than the fact of Sunny than Always Sunny?
I can't remember.
Yeah, when he brought that up, I was like, is there some profound thing that we discussed?
I don't remember.
Okay. Cool. Next is what? Vontae Davis. Yeah.
Dang. I can't find I was trying to find the GIF of Charlie after the end of Charlie work when he walks back in with the inspection pass and he's like, yes, we did it. We got an A. All I can find is this one.
What is that?
I was trying to look for the Charlie Kelly when he comes back in from Charlie work GIF when he has the A in his hands for the end of that segment to send to y'all when he's like, we did it, we got an A. Dude, yeah, he is. God damn it, Charlie. Charlie has some of the best gifts on fucking like some of the best shit.
Okay, so does someone feel comfortable sort of doing the 1 minute spiel on the front end to get us to the point where we can talk about it? In terms of Vontae Davis?
Yeah, I mean, I can.
I'm clearly aware that the man retired at halftime yesterday, but I'm just saying, can someone give at least a little bit more of an in-depth explanation than that?
If you give me 2 minutes to pull up the Twitter thread that I just found that had all of the information on it, then yes.
Okay, do we have 2 minutes in live time on YouTube?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Old white guy won. Kid Thompson should have won best supporting actor.
Get it.
That's cool.
Should I ask him about his cleaning supplies? Did I? Yeah. I don't know much on it other than the fact that he did it at halftime.
That's the beauty of this topic is no one knows anything on it, and it's
well, let's just fucking go after it because it's
I have a thread here that at least explains some stuff leading up to it and everything. Not necessarily it, but
yeah, we want to hear that leading up stuff. So
okay, yeah. So Andrew, do you want to bring us back in?
He's not on right now.
Hey Andrew, how you doing?
Is that game at 8:30?
8:15.
Just started.
No.
Seattle's got the ball 2nd and 1 to start the game.
Hold on, I'm just checking up on the fantasy team real quick.
Which one?
The fraternity league. I'm up 111 to 104 on Chad, but I'm done, and Allen Robinson's still playing.
How many points do you have? You said how many? Are you up?
I'm up 7.
Oh, that's gonna be real tight.
Yeah, it's the tightest of margins, and then I've already won in the our league. I'm up 108 to 87.
Who are you playing?
PNW's Ale House.
Oh, that's my brother.
Yeah, he's getting wrecked, and I still have Tyler Lockett to play.
Let's knock this Vontae Davis segment out.
Yeah, let's do it. It's fucking awesome.
Okay. We'll bring it back sort of traditionally here. Mac Young, why are you shaking your head and laughing? It's very distracting to me.
You just took a sip like Donald Trump, dude, out of his water bottle.
Oh, come on. Don't ever, come on. It's not fair to compare me to that, dude.
Dude, there's gifs all over the place where he does.
Oh, it's a big bottle. I mean, come on.
I know. It was just funny.
Okay, now I have to tell the story. Okay, so I live in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. We sort of just had a hurricane come through here. And so last week I went to the store because I wanted to buy water because everyone's freaking out and they're like, buy water. And I don't really understand that either. If one of you could explain to me why we need water when the water works during a hurricane. But anyway, I go to the store and I buy water, but all they have left are these super big bottles of Fiji because everyone's gotten the cheap bottled water that you actually buy for a storm. So anyway, I'm rocking these super big Fiji bottles. They're obnoxious. And I mean, you kind of need to, I guess, if that's how Donald Trump drinks out of his water bottle, then that's how you got to do it when you got a really big water bottle. I don't know what to say.
It was the two-handed caressing. It was funny, but yeah. let's get into sports.
Yeah, okay, fair enough, man. Another episode of From the Nosebleed Sports Podcast here. My name is Andrew Levin. Thank you so much for listening. On this Monday evening, September 17th, I'm here with my very good friends, Will Mosley and Mac Young. And Alec Uwecki is out tonight, taking the night off, our good friend. But myself, Will, and Mac still here. And we've got a lot more to get into on the NFL. And, dude, this Vontae Davis story is something that I don't think we've ever seen in the NFL before.
Dude, it's unprecedented. Like, I was talking to a dude that I work with. My manager is 50 years old. He has been watching NFL football for like 35 years. And he was like, I've never seen anything like this in my life. I do not know what I am watching right now. Like, I do not know what to make of this, which is absolutely ridiculous, because the fact that the NFL has been going on this long and we've never seen a player do this, it's something that I don't know about y'all, but I'm pretty sure everyone's thought of at some point while watching an NFL game. Like, what if one of these guys just decides to leave right now? And for y'all out there that don't understand what happened, that's exactly what Vontae Davis did. He just decided at halftime, I'm going to go home. Screw you guys. I'm going home. Like, that dude rolled out hardcore. He started in the first half, got a touchdown thrown on him, and got up from that touchdown. And if you rewatch and go back and watch, there's a clip on Twitter, you can find it, where he gets the touchdown thrown on him. ESPN has shown it all day, and he just stares off into the crowd. And at that moment, we should have all known that he was not coming out of the locker room, because whatever Sean McDermott said at halftime, Vontae Davis was like, deuces, I'm taking my ball, I'm rolling home. I already got my $5 million guaranteed salary for the year by making the roster. I'm out. And, I mean, what do you do? His other cornerbacks have made comments saying that they had no clue what was going on until they were walking out on the field. And he was just like, all right, see ya, and pulled himself from the game.
I have a question for you real quick. Did he just quit that game, or did he retire?
So
there
later,
were some things that he retired.
Yeah, later he clarified that he retired. That he decided to retire, and that's what that look was that I'm referring to. If you can find the clip when he gets that touchdown thrown on him, he stares off into the crowd like, I want to sit up there. Like, that's what the look in his eyes are. And I mean, dude, he's a 10-year veteran in the NFL as a defensive player, just hitting every down and just coming down and like running into players. Like, it's not something that, I don't know, it's not something that's, conducive to the human body. And I don't know, maybe he got that touchdown thrown on him and was like, man, I am not getting CTE for a team led by Josh Allen and Nathan Peterman. And I do not blame him for that.
You don't blame him? You got to blame him for the fact that he just quit on his team in week 2 at halftime.
Yeah, dude, he should have told I think that he should have told his other teammates, hey, I cannot finish this game. I don't have it in me. Because at that point, when he got that touchdown thrown on him and he stared off into the crowd, dude, and he decided to retire, if he would have gone around and told his teammates that he had just decided to retire in the middle of the game, do you think that the other cornerback wouldn't have been like, all right, then sit on the bench and let me get out there? Like, all he would have done if he would have told everybody is sit on the bench in the second half, or gone out in the second half and just probably not played really good and only been worse for the team and not gotten the other guy reps for next week when he's going to be the starter. Like, I think that he should have talked to his teammates, but I'm not going to fault him for deciding that at halftime and just being like, no, this isn't for me anymore.
Dude, I think it's the most selfish thing that I've seen on an NFL field. To quit on your teammates like that early in the season, no matter when, midway through a game, decide, fuck this shit, I'm done. In a sport where I don't think there's any more team-oriented sport than football. And this guy decided, fuck the rest of my team, a sport where you play for the guy next to you. Not just, there is individual goals, but the goals are really based off the team. And you just said, fuck everyone else. I'm done with this shit. I just think it was the most selfish thing I've ever seen on a field.
Okay. Mac, I guess I understand why people are angry at Vontae Davis Day. I don't agree with the people who are angry at Vontae Davis Day because football is a terribly violent game. He's a 10-year veteran. Okay, Mac.
Why doesn't he get to be selfish? Andrew, go ahead.
Okay, here's where I want to start. Before we get into if it's selfish or not, because I think there's an interesting conversation to be had there. Mac, you have to at least agree with what Will said before about him playing for a team that is currently led by Nathan Peterman.
Yeah, I agree with that.
That team is not going anywhere this year, and we can sit here and talk about pride and how professional athletes, they all do their best, and that's true. They all do try their best, but they are humans also who are very much aware of their sort of a larger ecosystem, and currently the Bills sit very, very low on that ecosystem. We all would agree with that. And so Vontae Davis signed up to play football for the Buffalo Bills this year. The whole thing, I mean, as I sort of did some reading in the aftermath yesterday, was kind of sketchy anyway. Like, I know that he had switched teams, right? And there was some sketchiness anyway about sort of how he landed in Buffalo. And I mean, Mac, again, what Will's saying is correct also about the contractual obligations there. Like, Vontae Davis makes the roster. He gets his money. It's good business for him to stay long enough to get his money. I'm sure that there's going to be some sort of arbitration there where he's going to have to give some of that money back to Buffalo, of course. But to call the guy selfish, dude, football players give every single bit of their bodies on a weekly basis, on a yearly basis for their teams, and he did that for 10 seasons in the NFL. I don't think that you can call this man weak or this man selfish, this particular man, given the commitment that he has shown to that violent game for so long.
So I'll go first on to the sketchiness of everything. I know that he landed in the Bills kind of sketchy anyway. Referring to his salary, there was a lot of speculation yesterday about sketchiness because apparently he was guaranteed all $5 million of his salary because he made the opening day roster, but then he was inactive for week 1 and he looked as though he just pulled himself out of the game uninjured for week 2. So AKA he's, listed as playing, but he's getting his salary without having to play. There's a lot of speculation on that, but since he's retired, the Bills don't have to pay him. And so that kind of clears up all the sketchiness of it to me. It just seems like a dude who decided at halftime that this game was not for him anymore. And to the selfishness of it, I'm not going to say you can't call him selfish, Mac, because you're right. It's selfish to be like, I don't want to do this anymore. I can't do it. I know that I've committed to these dudes to play this game with them, but I can't do it anymore for me. That's selfish. And in a team-oriented sport, that corrupts a team, and you can't have selfishness on that team. And also, I'm not going to fault him because this was an individual decision for his health, not for his team or his job.
And his family.
Where have you heard that health or family? I haven't heard.
He said that.
Like he's had statements saying that he did this because of health and that he decided he could not play the game anymore and he was not in it physically.
You can't walk away at halftime because you feel like it. That is so selfish. And I don't understand how you are arguing that.
Mac,
the fact that you decided at halftime without telling anyone.
Mac, what do you do?
What do? You play the whole game. You talk to your teammates at halftime saying, I'm done. Or you just don't walk away. You talk to people. You talk to your coaches. You talk to the organization. You don't just say, peace out, fuck this shit.
And I'm saying you're right, and I'm saying he is being selfish. And I'm saying that's not fucking wrong because he's in it. Yes, there's better avenues to do it, but at the end of the day, I'm not going to fault the dude for quitting football at the end of the day because that's what he did. and he decided that it wasn't for his physical well-being. And any football player that comes to the decision that football's not for their best physical and mental well-being in the long term should leave the sport immediately, because they're finally the ones that wake up and value their bodies.
He would have known that before that game or after that game. I think he left.
How do you know that? Have you played 10 seasons in the NFL? How do you know that? You're a professional athlete for that long. How do you know that you don't go out in the first half and you're just like, wow, I do not have this. I can't do this anymore.
And you don't think about that before that game starts or at the beginning of the season. You think about that at halftime.
I'm sure it's floating around in your head, but that doesn't what do you do? I'm not saying you're wrong. He's being selfish, and there's better ways he could have done it. But at the end of the day, it was a man deciding that he wasn't going to play a sport that is ridiculously violent to your body. And he has made claims since he did everything that he feels like he should have maybe done it better. But at the end of the day, he was making decisions for his health. And I'm not going to fault a guy for being selfish when it comes to his life.
The big story to me here is that we've never seen a football player make this sort of decision so immediately. And I think that's what's most shocking about it. But what Will is saying is very true. Any guy who's decided that he doesn't want to play the game anymore because it's too violent and he's trying to protect his own body and his family, which is something that Vontae Davis said in that sort of statement that he released after the game yesterday, that retirement statement, that player should leave the game immediately. And it was, again, shocking to people because of how immediate it seemed yesterday. But Davis made yesterday seemed pretty well thought out. It didn't seem all that rash to me. It seemed like a guy who had played 10 years in the NFL and had finally had enough. And it's right to leave. But this is from the Nosebleeds Sports Podcast. Keep it right here.
I'll ask this question. Does he deserve his money?
He doesn't get paid his money.
Does he deserve his money? Do you think he deserves his money?
No.
Okay.
I mean, he deserves some of it, whatever he's entitled to for 2 game checks or whatever.
You're saying that
game checks.
He still is going to get $5 million?
No, that was speculation. If he would have just been pulling himself from the game, he had earned a guaranteed contract or guaranteed salary of $5 million this year.
If he played,
it's the veteran. No, it's the veteran minimum.
Yeah.
If he played 7 games, so the same amount that Le'Veon would have to play. So he would have to play the same amount that Le'Veon would have to play to guarantee his contract. And so one half of the game and then pulling himself uninjured from the second half would have still counted as 1 game. So that was the, speculation there. But once he announced that he had retired and all of that had been cleared up, they realized that if he officially retires from the NFL, then they don't have to pay him his salary. They have to pay him for a game and a half, I think. But I wouldn't mind going further into this, but what was said in the locker room at halftime? Was there anything said, or he just literally left? I don't know. There hasn't been much clarification on it.
Because if he literally just left, then I stand by my statement 100%. If he at least had some type of mini press conference at halftime.
No, it wasn't a mini press conference or anything like that.
No, with his team, hey guys, this is how I feel. Or, hey, I'm done. I'll see y'all later.
Oh no, I think he just rolled out, and dude, I'm not saying that part of it is 100% fucked up.
It's just what as a teammate, what the fuck? I would just be so. I'm sure everyone is mad, and then you just blew up the team dynamic. But anyway,
yeah, I do agree with you.
And I get your points too. It's football. I couldn't play. No fucking way. I'm playing football. But,
yeah, that's my big part of it. Also, I do think the Bills factor into it, man, and I
agree too.
I think the fact that I don't know if there is that, I don't know if there is that in the locker room that you're talking about. I don't know if they have that that belief in themselves with a team that trotted Nathan Peterman out there and then is going to trot out like this kid who from bumfuck nowhere who's just tall and has a big arm. Like, I mean, I really don't know if that team thinks that they're going to be good. So I don't know how much that stuff factors in as much as you're saying. Like, I feel you that – no, we're not, Andrew. Sorry. Like, I don't know if that factors in as much.
Actually, at least on the defensive side, because their defense is not bad. Anyway.
Yeah. I don't know. What if your teammate came up to you and was like, I'm quitting this sport at halftime, would you keep him in?
I would have kicked him out immediately.
Well, then why are you
then
asking?
you'd have kicked him out. What?
If someone said I'm leaving at halftime.
Oh, no. I'm saying if he came to y'all and if he came to your team at halftime and was like, yo, I can't play this game anymore. I'm going to retire today. I just decided that on the field, I don't have it in me. I'm going to retire today. Wouldn't you sit him, even if he was better than your backup cornerback? Even if he said, I'm going to try my best, but I'm retiring today, wouldn't you play the dude who had decided that he wasn't going to retire today? Even if he's not as talented?
If he came up to me on game day, said he's retiring after the game, I'd probably sit him.
No. At halftime.
Oh.
He said that it hit him hard and fast in the middle of halftime, or in the middle of the first half. Quote, but today on the field really hit me fast and hard. I shouldn't be out there anymore. I know that you might not believe that thought like truly could happen at halftime and not before the game. But let's say that thought only occurred at halftime and he came to you and was like, I can't play. I'm going to retire. Your backup cornerback is worse than him talent-wise, but he did not decide today that he is going to retire. Wouldn't you play your backup anyway?
Yes.
Okay, so the dude's going to sit on the sideline anyway. So we all can agree that it is better for the backup dude to get the reps in the second half of the Bills game yesterday. It's just shitty how he quit.
Yes.
Okay. That's just what I wanted to make sure of. Like you didn't expect him to make that decision in the first half and then him be the best player to be out there for your team in the second.
If I had plans to play in the second half but knew I was quitting after the end of that game, I don't think I would have said anything at halftime because I would have shaken everything up in the room. I would have kept that to myself till after the game.
Wouldn't that have been selfish? Because you would not have been as good of a player.
Oh, wow, now we're just getting to like ethics.
All right, hold on. Okay, everyone's just
sorry. We can get into this after show when we're not live, but like I don't know.
I would definitely keep it to myself.
Okay.
Because then you're really fucking everyone else over at halftime and with like just a mind fuck.
All right, well.
Yeah. All right, Josh Gordon it is. Let's rile Mac up some more.
No, we can. I mean, it's not. I don't mean to rile Mac up. All I'll say though is, it seems easy to just say. It was still talking about Vontae Davis here on From the Nosebleed Sports Podcast. It seems really easy to say that you would have done something different or you would have just held that all in until the end of the game. But this man has played 10 years in the NFL and has actually done it. And you, Mac, still feel somewhat comfortable being critical of this man for quitting yesterday at halftime.
Yep.
Okay.
A man
so I guess that's
by his words, and I respect that.
Understood. He sometimes can be a man of few words, but I guess if that's all that needs to be said, it's all that needs to be said. My name is Andrew Levin. This is another episode of From the Nosebleed Sports Podcast. Thank you so much for listening tonight. Please continue to hit us up on Twitter at _the Nosebleeds and check us out on SoundCloud. Go to the search bar, hit From the Nosebleeds Sports. That is where you will find us. Subscribe to us, and thank you so much for doing so. And so, Mac Young, I know that, something else that is going to be near and dear to your heart, or a story that is something you're going to have opinion on, has to be this Josh Gordon move to New England that just dropped earlier today, a few hours ago. So Josh Gordon is a New England Patriot, which is something we all expected.
Yeah, I mean, as we've talked about earlier today, after it happened around 4:00, it's not that big of a surprise. I mean, it kind of felt right, like he was going to be a Patriot, but at least for me as a Browns fan and as someone who just dislikes the Patriots franchise, I like Tom Brady, but I hate the Patriots. It's hard to see him become part of that franchise. It just sucks. And the fact that, never mind, I'll wait.
I agree with you that it sucks, Mac, but it's also very expected.
Yeah, that's what I said. Super expected.
Right. I'm not saying that I said this was going to happen on the podcast a few weeks ago, but I'm pretty sure there's a chance that I may have said that this was going to happen, or that this was going to happen.
Someone did. Someone
Right.
said it a few weeks ago.
And so, yeah, I think like you said on the text message earlier tonight, it's the most Patriots thing ever. And the expectation at this point has to be that Josh Gordon is going to move in there and be a significant difference maker for that team at some point. And it may not be right away, but come playoff time, that dude is going to be catching significant passes for the Patriots. And that has to be something that is frustrating to every single NFL fan outside of New England.
Yeah. As someone who just, waits for something good to happen in New England every NFL season, it's just kind of a countdown for most of us who aren't New England fans and who are, in fact, New England haters. I'll go ahead and join that group. I'm not ashamed to admit it. If you're ashamed to admit it, you're lying to yourself, because if you're not a fan of them, you probably do hate them, and you're probably just being a hater because you want to hate them because they're so good. And so just embrace it, and that's okay. But this is, one of the most all-time hateable classic Patriots moves is giving up a 5th-round freaking draft pick for what could be the best receiver in the NFL and like the next Randy Moss move for the Patriots. And the idea that what I just spoke out into your ears out there in the world, what I just said, that is actually going to happen. And we're going to watch him go off like Randy Moss, and then they're going to trade him back to the Browns for a 2022 first-round pick.
Bill Belichick and the Patriots seem to understand this economy of talent in the NFL better than anyone ever in the history of the league. I think that's fair to say at this point. They get dudes at values that make little sense to everyone else, and this is another perfect example of that. To get Josh Gordon for only one draft pick, let alone a draft pick so late in the draft, it's Mac Young. A
draft pick that's so late
right now, and it says it all. Mac Young is shaking his head. It's disappointing, and it's frustrating to everyone else outside of New England.
Literally, they traded away a pick that only the Patriots know how to use. Like, it's so annoying. The only team in the world that has value to a 5th-round pick is the New England Patriots, and they just threw it away because they were like, yeah, we'll probably trade the Browns something else and get a better pick next year. And they know that they can do that every time. And Alex said it on the text line earlier today when the story dropped. And this is the most he said Josh Gordon is always meant to be a New England Patriot. And we all know that in our core. And whether you're a fan or not, that is a sentence that for some reason rings true. For some reason, we always knew in our guts, and Matt can attest to it because he's squirming in his chair right now while recording, hearing me say this, that Josh Gordon was always meant to catch touchdowns by Tom Brady, no matter whether we like it or not, because that's what the New England Patriots do, and that's what the NFL is. And it doesn't make any sense, and it doesn't make any sense why nobody else was able to spring on a deal that is so obviously going to fall into the Patriots' lap for another Super Bowl. Like, if you want to stop the Patriots from winning Super Bowls, why not go after these amazing players that they snatch up for nothing before they get them? It just doesn't make sense how the NFL lets talented player on talented player fall to the New England Patriots. I'm not going to be surprised in a year and a half when the Bears trade Khalil Mack to them.
But different scenarios, clearly, and I think very different scenarios. One thing the Patriots never do is trade for – one, they don't seem to really trade for guys ever, but when they do not trade for pieces that are owed a lot of money still on their deals. So for them to go out and trade for Khalil Mack would be way out of character. Doing what they're doing with Josh Gordon here is something that is entirely Patriots. They are buying on a guy at his lowest. Clearly, if the Browns were willing to give him away for that, then they were doing it because they thought that is the best that they were going to get for Josh Gordon. And it's really frustrating, but it also sort of goes to show once again that these guys understand how the business of the league works better than anyone else. Just like the Warriors in the NBA, the Patriots are doing the same thing. They get incredible value on guys who play significant roles for them. And that goes a long way. Having guys like Dante Hightower playing pretty much every defensive snap and not making a ton of money, that goes a long way. And they have guys like that all over the field. And don't forget that their quarterback isn't making a max contract. And so this is what they do. It's frustrating, but it's a Patriots move. I'm not sure what else there is to say about it.
I mean, I guess what a lot of teams were waiting for, or why the Browns were getting rid of him, because there was reports that he hurt his hamstring and couldn't play on Sunday, and that hurting of the hamstring happened at a non-team event that was disclosed, and then that on Saturday he also came to practice looking not himself, and then they decided that they were going to get rid of him on Monday, and that at 4 o'clock, no matter what was going on, that they were going to release him unless a better deal came through. And the Patriots are the only team, I think, that really would take a chance on him. And I guess my next question would be, do you think he's going to play the whole season? Do you think they're going to put him through the ringer to make sure that he is all set to go before he steps on the field, or is he going to play next week?
I don't expect him to play immediately. I mean, I'm not sure that has anything to do with on-field readiness in Josh Gordon's case. I just think there are maybe some off-field things that they're going to want to talk to him about possibly in New England. I know that I would. You know, you want to set this guy up for success. It clearly went so wrong for many different reasons in Cleveland. And, you know, they're investing in Josh Gordon, so I'm sure that there are things that they're going to want to work on with him off the field as well. He seems kind of ready to play, right? I mean, he did go through training camp, or at least some of it. He's been working out with the team and doing football drills, correct, Mac?
He missed a lot of training camp. But
I know he missed some of training camp, but he did come back, right?
Yeah, he was there last week, and he was training all throughout with personal trainers. And, I mean, he's played the 2 weeks before this season started. He was in practice. And I just want to point it out real quick that even though I'm heartbroken and I'm mad that I'm not mad that he's gone. I'm mad that he went to the Patriots. That's what I'm really mad about. Otherwise, I just got to say, I think the Browns did the right thing. They gave him endless amounts of opportunities to figure it out, and gave him their full attention, and were willing to help out in any way possible. And I mean, after a while, you just have to let him go. And they gave him, like I said, just so many opportunities to figure it out, and he couldn't. So even though I hate the deal, I got to say that the Browns did the right thing by getting rid of him.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely going to agree with you on that side of it. The Browns, if you want to look at what an organization should do with a player who's going through drug rehabilitation and problems with addiction in any ways, whether it be gambling, drugs, anything that, these professional athletes can go through in their lives. The Cleveland Browns were a model organization for sticking by this player. I know that a lot of people will say that, it's, when you have that much talent, it's easy to stick by a player. But nonetheless, a lot of people would have not stuck by him and given him as many chances as they did. And there's nothing you can fault that organization for how they handled that. So if nothing else, the Browns might be winning in some ways in their organization. They're definitely not putting it together on the field for Mac's sake. Please hope they do soon. But off the field, maybe they have some things going right and some player relations and stuff like that. So that's always good to see from them. But an incredible story. It's going to be painful to watch him catch touchdowns in New England. At the same time, we always wish the Browns the best of luck so Matt can finally get a win in his life and not another tie or something like that. But this is From the Nosebleeds. We'll be right back in 1 second.
Cool. So yeah, I guess I have a few things on college football, but that's probably a segment that you guys are going to have to carry a little bit.
I don't have a ton, but
where are we at on time wise? I mean, I'm a little
on 3.
I'm a little farther on bars. I mean, I'm at 17 on my garage band, but I started like when we started the planning part of this.
I think if this one isn't 12 minutes and then we still do a rapid fire, I think we'll be
because
like, if this one's like 8 to 12, I think we'll be fine.
I like the 8, and then if we spill over a little bit.
And then to do whatever rapid fire you all were thinking, I think we'll be totally fine on time.
Yeah, because I don't have a ton on NCAA football, like you said, besides the fact that, Alabama, fucking
Give
LSU.
me 2 minutes here, boys. Sorry.
You're all good.
I don't have that much either. It was fun. It was just fun to for me, I sat on the couch with an old friend from back home and watched college football and drank beer and literally watched football all day. And that was just kind of nice. And there were good games on. It wasn't like they were all blowouts. Like the LSU Auburn game was fun. And then there's all those games at 8 o'clock or all the night games. And then, yeah. For a team that usually gives Alabama like a good show up, Ole Miss looked like absolute doo-doo after their first touchdown.
Who?
Ole Miss.
Yeah, no.
They looked at the beginning of the game. They scored a first play of the drive.
I'm not sure. I got tuned in like 10 minutes into the game.
Again, I don't have a lot on this, so before you guys get into it, let's put it on the air.
Yeah, no, I'm down. Let me pull up the.
Yeah, let me get the
scores. Trubisky ran for a touchdown. Awesome. That means Robinson didn't catch it. That's awesome.
He has 2 touchdowns, and the other one is to the tight end.
Are you talking about Monday Night Football?
Yeah. No, it's 7-0, Mac.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's only been one.
I thought.
In the game.
Oh yeah, shovel pass to Burton. Sorry, it looked like he ran it on the video.
No, I was supposed to say I got some points for that. Yeah.
Let me just Robinson already has 4 points. I really need him to like have a minor injury and leave the game.
All right, let's do this thing.
Just every ball bounce off his face mask for the entire second half. All right.
How's it going, everyone? Thank you so much for listening tonight. This is another episode of From the Nosebleed Sports Podcast. My name is Andrew Levin for Mac Young and Will Mosley. Thanks again for listening. We're going to get into a little college football here because it's been a pretty NFL-heavy show so far. So I know Mac and Will have a lot they want to get into on the college football side, with Mac being a huge Ohio State guy and Will Mosley just generally loving college football, being from the southeastern part of the United States. So boys, what do you guys have on college football this week?
Dude, there was surprisingly a lot to watch on Saturday. And that being said, I feel like everyone probably woke up on Monday and only could remember the NFL season like most of us could, because there's so much jam-packed into these first couple weeks of football, and we're so high on football that we'll watch all of it, and it's hard to digest all of it on Monday. But sitting here on Tuesday night looking back, man, there was actually some fun college football games going on. Biggest of the big for most people, I think, is LSU and Coach O. Maybe making our co-host, who is not here, rethink his opinion on Coach O and how good of a coach he is. With 2 top 10 wins already, the team looks pretty good, man. LSU is there's another week of the podcast where I'm sitting here telling you that LSU looked really strong. Maybe not as strong as week 1, but really strong.
Yeah, I've heard people out here continually sort of downplaying what LSU has done so far. Excuse me. That isn't – I'm sorry, guys. I had something in my throat. Mac, you're going to have to do a little I've heard a lot of people out here so far sort of downplaying what LSU has done, but I don't understand that at all. I mean, 2 really impressive wins, Miami and now Auburn. Something that has to be respected. They're all the way up to 7 in the country, correct?
Yeah.
So I'm not a huge college football guy, but it was something that I took note of for sure as a casual observer this past weekend. LSU looks like a playoff team, it would seem, so far.
Yeah, I mean, dude, I don't know. We always sit and look at LSU at this point in the season, and I feel like think that, and they're really, really good. And I hope they're a playoff team. Everything will end up in the come out in the wash, and we'll figure it out. But they looked awesome. Mac, how you feel about Coach O?
I love Coach O, man. The fact, oh God, who has, like we've said before, there's no one in college football that has a better coaching voice than Coach O. And then that viral video surfaces of saying "fuck them boys" after the post game. That was pretty magical. In that raspy ass voice. I mean, there were a lot. I mean, like we said, LSU is that team that's always just right on the edge. So I would love to see them make the playoffs this year. They're just like that team, like LSU and Georgia are just always those 2 teams that are just like kind of on the outskirts looking in. And I'd love to see one of those 2 teams actually make the playoffs and make a run. That'd be awesome. But it was a good week in college football. I mean, my Buckeyes won against TCU, which was a fun game. Dwayne Haskins can really rip the ball. That tandem of running backs is looking good. But the big story, I think, of the weekend is Alabama, 62-7 against Ole Miss, a team that usually rocks them up just a little bit, gives them a few gut punches here and there. And honestly, it was like the first or second play of the offensive first drive of the game for Ole Miss. They score a big touchdown off a big throw, and then Alabama just puts it on and just drills them into the ground with 62 points. Really showing to me that I think they are the best team in the country by far.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. They're the best team in the country right now. I think they always are, because they're the most prepared and most talented team in like football at all times at the beginning of the season, because they come into it well. I think what's scary about them, if you're a fan of them, is what's always scary about them is talent doesn't always win out, especially in college sports. We all know that. That's more of a professional man's game, is talent winning out all the time. So I think there's something to be said for, this, just like I'll say it about LSU and I'll say it about Alabama. They're the best right now in the country. I don't know if these teams will be the best at the end of the season when it comes, but they look really scary right now. What's awesome is we get to see them play each other. And that's the best for me. But I'll actually counter you with the biggest takeaway from the college football weekend was not a win by a top 10 team, but a loss by a top 10 team in Wisconsin getting beat by Brigham Young. And that yet again, kickers suck.
Yeah.
Like, just come on. Wisconsin, it's finally your year. You finally did it last year, and everyone said you deserved it this year if you just did it. All you had to do was go through your regular season.
Easy,
and
too.
then win the Big Ten. That's all you have to do is win one big game against Ohio State or Michigan State. And you can't even do that.
Made the easiest schedule. One of the easier schedules for a top 10 team, top 25 team, probably one of the easiest schedules. Cakewalk, what it should have been, and they couldn't do it.
You're in a conference like the Big Ten and you have that easy of a schedule. Like, it just doesn't even make sense to me. And you lose to BYU.
I mean,
Andrew, did you see this?
Yeah, I mean, I'm aware that Wisconsin lost. You know, I didn't really watch the game, of course, but I'm aware that they lost.
yeah.
I mean, Brigham Young's been sneaky good for years. They've been doing that for years. They really have. It is surprising, though. I mean, Wisconsin is always. I know their schedule, like the rankings this year, were not very high.
Yeah, I mean, but I don't know. Isn't that what we've all learned from college football, though, is don't schedule the really great teams in the first couple weeks.
Yeah.
Schedule the cupcakes.
Yeah.
Make your schedule easy, and then win your conference in a big game. Win one big game at the end of the year to solidify it. Don't try to win like 3 good games in September and October.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
so Wisconsin had the formula right.
Yeah.
And they still lost to BYU. And I get you can say they're sneaky good, man, but Wisconsin's not supposed to be sneaky good. Wisconsin's supposed to be one of the top 4 teams in the country.
Yeah, so there's this weird ebb and flow that I sort of feel like we do in college football, where certain years we want all these teams to go out and play really, really hard non-conference schedules. And then other years it's like, no, don't do that. Don't do that. Protect the fact that you have 0 losses. And so, you know, I know after week 1, we were sort of talking about Miami and LSU. And of course, every win that LSU gets, like that loss for Miami looks a lot better. But I do think that it is better for a school like Miami to not schedule an LSU in week 1. And that's an opinion for me that has changed. I used to think all these teams should go out and play really hard non-conference schedules, but I don't see the incentive in that at this point. It makes a lot more sense to me to not lose any games and just try to win out your season.
Yeah, I'm 100% with you, because the people's argument that I've heard most against this like theory that the college football playoff is kind of, you know, created, that you want a weaker schedule. That's the easier way to get into the playoff. That's what a lot of people believe. That's what, you know, a lot of people are going for and thinking this year. You're right. And I think that – sorry, I lost my train of thought there. My bad.
You're fine.
You want to pick it back up or what?
Yeah, because let me grab that, because I did like what I was thinking about there.
All right, go ahead.
Just give me a second to, like, you know, wrap it all together here. Okay, yeah. Yeah, I'm with you. It's weird for some reason that some years we want people to do this, some years we want people to do that. But I think that the argument I've heard most against, you know, this whole schedule a weaker team is Auburn last year. You know, Auburn's on the fence. They have this chance to get in. And mainly the reason as a 2-loss team that they have the chance to get in is because their losses to Clemson, who you're looking at getting in. And I get that argument, except for the fact that I'll counter you with, wouldn't you have put in Auburn with 1 loss as a conference champion and just not played Clemson? Because I would have. I'd have put them in. And so that argument falls apart to me. I don't understand it. It doesn't make sense. Why do this to yourself, Auburn? I mean, not Auburn. Why do this to yourself, Wisconsin, and lose to BYU when apparently they're sneaky good? just leave them off your schedule. Definitely leave App State off your schedule. Again, if you're thinking about it, those college ADs out there that might be listening to this show, I'll repeat for what I said earlier in the year. Don't schedule them. Keep your perfect schedule and get into the college football playoff.
Yeah, that's sort of a public service announcement that we're going to keep pushing as a show. I don't know why anyone is out here trying to play App State out of conference, but because they're not sneaky good, they're just good.
It stops being sneaky when they do it year after year.
Absolutely, but another episode of From the Nosebleed sneaking to a close. Keep it here. We'll be right back. All right, Max, sorry for some of the editing that you're going to have to do through that.
Yeah.
That's all good.
Partly my responsibility. My voice really sort of just gave out there for a second.
No worries.
I've not been talking a lot with the storm.
No worries.
Uh,
My thing with Wisconsin is, like, that wasn't an App State, dude. That was BYU. And that's, like, while they're sometimes good, they're not that good. They're, like, no different than, like, any other mid-level team in the Big Ten. So the fact that they lost that is just, like, that sucks. Like, that's killer. That's not like App State. That just fucking sucks.
Yeah, no. That's not like App State. I was referencing what Andrew's talking about them being sneaky good.
Yeah. I mean, they're like a mid-level team.
Yeah, they're not ridiculous. That's an embarrassing fucking loss. Ohio State doesn't lose that fucking game. Like, Michigan probably loses that game.
With how they're playing right now, they probably lose.
Yeah, like Michigan State last year doesn't lose that game. Like, it's embarrassing.
Okay.
Anyway, rapid fire, Otani.
Boy. Wow.
Trying to think. Gruden, quote.
I saw that.
Yeah. No, it doesn't make me regret the trade. That's stupid.
They had to pay him, dude.
Yeah, you should regret the trade, you fucking dumbass. Woo, man.
all right. So does everyone have something they want for a
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I'm just kind of scrolling through, looking back at some stuff to make sure I didn't miss anything.
everyone's got a sports take, and then we should have one really fun, quick quid.
Oh, yeah,
fun, dude. Like,
wait, are the Vikings and Browns kickers both really cut today?
yeah.
That's fucking awesome. All right. So we all doing one thing and then a fun one?
We're not all going to do a fun one. I just think we should vary.
No. I mean, are we all doing one like sports one and then we're gonna do one fun thing talk about one?
I'll just be like, well, really sportsy show today. Like nothing stupid at all. So we'll end with blank. We just need to decide what blank is, like a question we can all answer. Like, do you double dip chips in the queso bowl?
Wait, what?
Just something dumb, something stupid.
Think of something over the next 5 minutes.
Yeah, give me a minute. I'll find something.
Yeah, that's true. Mac, are you talking about that in your
Which one?
18 days till NHL?
I just wrote all those up there. Whatever you guys don't say, I was going to say one of those. Probably.
So yeah, we'll just try to keep it right on the 5-minute mark. So just make your take like 1 minute pretty much. That should be good.
Okay. I'm not going to do the NHL then because that's really all I have to say is that it's 18 days away.
Yeah. You can just kind of say that at the end when Andrew like asks anything else. You can just say 18 days till NHL.
Yeah, I'll do that. All right.
Yeah, I'll probably do the. Give me a second to just find the AB on Twitter thing, so I won't go first. But yeah, I'm gonna do the AB on Twitter.
You can take it me.
I don't have anything stupid, so I guess we'll just keep it real sportsy tonight.
Unless you think of something on the fly, but yeah, let's just keep it going.
All right. So we are going to end the show tonight with one of our favorite segments as a show, and that would be Rapid Fire. We just felt like there was so much we still did not get to tonight. So without further ado, Mac Young, what else do you want to hit on tonight, my friend?
Well, there's been a common theme tonight that I think we've all touched on at one point, that kickers this weekend in college and in NFL just sucked. There's so many missed field goals, so many missed extra points. It was just a rough week for kickers. And it was so bad that the Vikings and the Browns decided to part ways with both of their kickers. And there was one story I thought was pretty funny today. While the Browns were training the kicker from the Miami Dolphins, there were fans in the parking lot roughly 35 yards away from a fake field goal taking kicks in the parking lot.
Yes.
Signed by the team that they can hit that length.
That is
the Browns should sign them. And I thought that was just gold. And yeah. That's just good shit right there.
Do you think that you can make a 35-yard field goal?
I could probably make 1 out of 5.
1 out of 5. Will, how about you?
I'd go 1 out of 5. You know what? Give me 2 out of 5. I trust myself with a little bit of practice.
I'll put it up on the poll, please. Do you think that you can make a 35-yard field goal, yes or no? I think that a lot of people don't realize how far 35 yards is to kick a regulation football. I'm not sure that I could do it. I think maybe 1 out of 10, if you gave me that many chances. But it's a lot more difficult than I think a lot of people realize. Still, Mac, exceptionally funny that fans would be doing that in Cleveland.
Yeah, it was pretty ridiculous.
Pretty ridiculous for sure. Will, anything ridiculous on your end or just something that you want to hit on?
I got some Twitter ridiculousness. And do you know how much I'm in love with the NBA? And it's probably mainly because of NBA Twitter and how much they pop off on there, back and forth at fans, KD, all of them. It's great. By the way, can't wait for NBA season. Just wait for it, everybody. I know the NFL's hot right now. But we got to see an NFL player pop off on Twitter today, which was awesome. And it's from an organization that does not need more drama with star players not wanting to play right now. And AB popped off at not just anyone, but a former PR person for the Steelers from 2010 to 2017 who was tweeting up yesterday that AB needs to thank Ben Roethlisberger and that darn well he wouldn't put up those numbers for other teams. And AB apparently had some time on his hands on Monday and was scrolling through Twitter and got a little feeling from that. And so he quote tweeted it and said, "Trade me, let's find out." And I don't know if there's a more 5 powerful words that could rock the Steelers right now besides Le'Veon Bell saying, "I am coming back, y'all." Like, those are trade me, let's find out. Like, and don't get me wrong, from the beginning of this podcast, y'all can hear me say that it might be the best thing the Steelers could have heard. I'm not saying that it might not be good for them, but it's some of the most impactful 5 words that the Steelers could have had typed out and put into the universe yesterday or today.
I mean, listen, man, I don't know if it's a good football decision for the Steelers to trade Antonio Brown, but I know that it would make the NFL a whole lot more interesting. And also, I know that it's a pretty cool place to be in sports that athletes feel comfortable calling people out on Twitter like that, in that sort of way. Trade me, let's find out. From a star like Antonio Brown. That's something that we've not really seen in sports before, and something that is very interesting to me.
Yeah, dude, it's awesome. It's another thing that is unprecedented, really. Like, I mean, we've seen it a couple times before, but like I said and referenced, mainly on NBA Twitter. You don't see this from NFL guys. You don't see guys boistering their personalities like this and going at people one-on-one as a personal thing. So, one, I guess we all probably imagined it would either be OBJ or AB or, some receiver who's going to be the person to do this, a receiver or a cornerback, I guess. Like, those are the guys who would do this. But I don't know. I'm so happy that he did it, man, because it is a very awesome world that Twitter gives us to connect the best wide receiver in the league, in my opinion, with a random person. And that's fun to me. And that's what interests me on a day-to-day basis, Andrew. So what's interesting to you that you want to get into?
I never really thought that on an NFL Monday we would be ending the show with Angels baseball, but because it's rapid fire and it seems like the only topic I can never talk about in rapid fire is Shohei Ohtani, I will talk about Shohei Ohtani. So the Angels came out probably about a week and a half ago and announced that he has an injury in his elbow. They're currently calling it a grade 2 sprain to his anterior collateral ligament. And of course, when you hear UCL with a baseball pitcher, you have to think the worst immediately. And so there is some speculation at this point that Ohtani is going to need Tommy John surgery at some point, which brings up the larger conversation, in my opinion, of like, why would you ever invest in a power arm at all in today's modern MLB? Because it seems like every single one of these guys, except for Max Scherzer, hasn't really worked out. And also, I don't really understand why the Angels would delay getting Shohei Ohtani to surgery if he's going to need it eventually anyway. Why not start him on the year recovery now? And so I understand that he brings them a bat and they still have a chance to make the playoffs and all that, or they're having a good year. But still sort of confusing to me, and at the very least concerning if you're an Angels fan.
Yeah, I agree with you, but at the same point, he does, like you said, he has a bat, and maybe they value his bat more than his arm right now.
But I don't think they do, and they've said that they don't. They treat him like a pitcher first, and if you're going to treat him like a pitcher first and he needs Tommy John surgery, then you have to get him that procedure as soon as possible.
Maybe they like their chances this year.
Yeah. So
you like your chances this year when you're playing in the same state as the LA Dodgers?
Different leagues.
Okay, I get it, but it doesn't matter. Like there's a lot of talent around the league right now, and I'm just saying they're not winning it all. They have a shot to make the playoffs, and you know how well I am in baseball. And you know how well versed I am in everything that's been going on with that. But I don't know. Maybe you're right, and they just have this idea that they're going to make a run and he's going to be a part of it this year. But I'm on Andrew's side that the second you see this type of injury coming up with a player that you're investing in long term, you just go ahead and get it fixed. And Andrew is dying over here.
Sorry, I'm kind of shaking in my seat here. I made a mistake there a little bit. Yeah, they really don't have a chance to make the playoffs. They're pretty much out of it at this point, which only bolsters my point that they should get this guy the procedure if he's going to need it eventually.
Yeah, in that case, I 100% agree with you. Fuck everything I said earlier.
So for one time, we can end the show on a consensus. But sadly, not sadly, we're just ending the show for the night. Thank you so much for listening. This has been another episode of From the Nosebleed Sports Podcast. My name is Andrew Levin from my very good friends, Mac Young and Will Mosley. Thank you so much for listening. Continue to hit us up on Twitter @ _the Nosebleeds. Find us on SoundCloud. Hit the search bar. Plug in From the Nosebleed Sports. That is where you will find us so that you can subscribe to us. Thank you so much for doing so. Once again, guys, it has been another episode of From the Nosebleed Sports Podcast. We will catch you next week.
Love you guys.